my name is not important. I'm here today to talk about a video game. A video game that over the years has been said to be a piece of shit and just plain not a good game, when really it kicks ass. I'm here today to talk about the 989 Studios masterpiece that is Twisted Metal 3. Yes, that's right, I said Twisted Metal 3. Now, a lot of you out there are probably thinking I am out of my mind to say that this is a good game. But really, this game kicks ass, and I think is even better than the second game, which most fans of the series believe to be as the greatest of the entire series. Now, although I'm here to defend this game, I will also be giving it a regular video game review, so I will be pointing out what is actually bad about this game. Now, before I begin, though, I'm sure there are probably some of you out there that are wondering, why am I only reviewing Twisted Metal 3, not Twisted Metal 4, the other one made by 989? That's because I do not own Twisted Metal 4, nor have I ever played Twisted Metal 4, so I can't talk about it nor review it. But to be honest, the game does look cool, especially since you can play as Rob Zombie. That, I think, is pretty fucking cool. But that's all I'm going to say for Twisted Metal 4. Now, as for Twisted Metal 3, I will be going over things such as characters, graphics, controls, all those things that people say is bad about this game. Now, when you start the game up, and you get its intro, which I think has got to be the best intro to anything ever. Sorry. You get to the main menu, you choose a new game, you could just go play a game. There's tournament or deathmatch. You know, you could just go play a random fight if you do deathmatch. It's really just what it's been like in the previous two games. Although if you have that little extension thing for extra controller ports, you can play with 3 or 4 people now. That's an improvement right there. But deathmatch, no, not deathmatch, tournament, on the other hand, which is like the story, the main game, is the other option. And if you choose it, you get to either play alone or with a CPU ally. Wouldn't really suggest playing with a CPU ally. He's not much help, and you don't get to see your character's ending when you win. But once all that's done, you get to choose your character. Now, let's talk about the characters, because they're one of the things that people say is shitty about this game. Okay. Now, the characters, the problems people have with them is they say they really just suck, the stories are weak and uninspired, and that's it really. People just think their stories are shit. And I will say some of them are, like Axel's, I think is kind of stupid, but I don't really blame them for his. His was kind of hard to continue from where it left off in Twisted Metal 2, and I'm sure most people wanted Axel back. He's kind of become an icon character for the game. Sweet Tooth, people thought wasn't as cool, although I still thought he was Sweet Tooth, really. Other characters, like Flower Power, she just seemed to have been there for sex appeal. Granny Dread seemed to have been there just for a joke. You know, a lot of the characters really weren't that good. Some of them were good. Still, like, I still like playing as Thumper, even though he's kind of more of a black stereotype here. Firestarter is pretty good. I don't think he's as dumb as people say. Yeah. Anyway, all the characters in this game, there's Mr. Grimm, Augur, Spectre, Firestarter, Flower Power, Thumper, Club Kid, Sweet Tooth, Outlaw, Warthog, Roadkill, Axel, and Hammerhead. Those are the main playable characters. Sweet Tooth is unlockable through cheat code, but apparently it's easier to play as him in this game than in Twisted Metal 2. I've heard that there's a way to actually find the cheat code in the game, so he's not as much as a secret character as in Twisted Metal 2, which I think is better. Anyway, so though the characters really aren't that good and are kind of stupid, the stories just suck usually. I don't think they're as bad as people say, and the characters themselves are still fun to play as, mainly because their cars and specials are cool, and easy to blow shit up. But overall, yeah, the characters are pretty bad. They are one of the things that are really shitty about this game. So, I will say that is a thumbs down for this game so far, but there's more to cover. Next up is the graphics. I've heard people say bad about this game. I really have no idea how the graphics are bad. I mean, it's 1998. What do you expect? They're obviously good for that time. They're a major improvement, obviously, from the previous game. Some of you are probably going, oh, well, that game was from 1996. There wasn't much they could do back then. The same thing here, except there is an improvement. I really don't know what else to say. I mean, people say the graphics aren't too good, but they're obviously better. Look at them. I mean, compare the cars, the details to the levels. The main car to look at is Thumper. He totally looks better. Spectre's car also looks better. Sweet Tooth is kind of the same, but still looks pretty good for the time. Warthog's, I'll admit, doesn't look as good graphic-wise. It's less pixelated, yes, but it's not as detailed. It looks like a box on wheels. But everyone else's car looks much better. The graphics are a good improvement. And if you're going to complain about a game from 1998 with bad graphics, you shouldn't complain about Twisted Metal 3. The prime game to complain about is Metal Gear Solid. Now, I know that game is kick-ass. It's one of my favorite games. And I know a lot of people out there love that game too. But that game's graphics were pretty bad. I mean, it was very detailed, yes, but some of the walls and floors were way too pixelated. And the people didn't really have facial features. I mean, no eyes, barely a mouth. I mean, look at GoldenEye 007 for the N64. They pretty much had the same graphics, except people had facial features, and that was a year before. So why don't people say anything about the graphics from Metal Gear? I'm not saying they have to, but I mean, if you're going to complain about the graphics from Twisted Metal 3, don't you think a game with worse graphics would be something more to pick on? I don't know. I think I'm just dragging this out now. So the graphics, thumbs up. They're good. Okay? I just don't see why they're bad. Anyway, next up are the controls. I've heard people say the controls are bad. I still don't know what people are thinking. The controls work just fine. They're the exact same controls as Twisted Metal 2, which I've said most people say is the greatest of the entire series. Moving, shooting, switching weapons, it's all the same. Maybe people were complaining about the analog controls, which were new at the time. There's still no problem. They function just fine. They're really the same controls, or analog controls, as Twisted Metal Black and Head-On. Except for one small stupid difference. In order to go in reverse, you have to press down on the left analog stick. But I have an alternative to that. When you're playing with the analog controls, the regular controls are still on. So if you want to go back, you can just move your thumb over and press down on the D-pad. And when you move back far enough, you can just go back to using the analog controls. It's pretty easy. Trust me, I play this game a lot. So that's really it for the controls. Well, actually, maybe people were complaining about how the game plays, as in the controls. I still find no problem with them. The game functions just right. Bumping into a wall can be kind of awkward at points, but other than that, it doesn't get in the way of the game, and overall, the controls are good. Okay, it's just controls, another thumbs up, I guess. Okay, so that's controls. Now, next up is the levels. I've heard someone, not going to mention names, but someone say that the level design wasn't good. I still see no problem here. The levels in this game are Hollywood, Washington, D.C., Hangar 18, which is some hangar in Area 51, the North Pole, London, which I think is the best, Tokyo, Egypt, and Calypso's Blimp. They're pretty good, well-designed levels. Except for Hangar 18, it's kind of small and not really got anything going for it. But the levels I think are just fine, especially the Hollywood level, North Pole, Tokyo, Egypt, Calypso's Blimp, and London. They're just very well done, very complex. I know the Washington, D.C. level is kind of nothing but an arena, but I don't think it's as bad as I've heard some people say. And at least here, you believe it's Washington, D.C. What do I mean by that? Well, the second level of Twisted Metal 2 was Moscow, but that game there was nothing resembling Moscow. It really was just a weird-looking arena. There was nothing in the stage that would make you think it's Moscow. In the Washington, D.C. level here, the Capitol building is in the stage, and there's a couple other buildings from Washington, I think, that are in the background on fire. But it is just an arena. Calypso's Blimp is kind of weird, but I think it's pretty cool. I think it's one of the better well-done stages of the game, except for the regeneration machine. Yeah, that is something I'll admit that isn't cool about this game. The regeneration, as you go on in the game, when you kill a certain amount of enemies, or all of them, the game will, like, send new ones in, like 2 or 3 to fight. And in the last level, when you kill someone, they always come back until you destroy the regeneration machine, which has, like, a shield thing over it, so you gotta destroy the 4 little generators around the level, which is a pretty bad hassle to do, but they're not that hard to find. It's pretty easy. When you destroy those, you can destroy the regeneration machine, and you can go on your merry way and kill everyone. Now, as for the bosses in the game, in level 2, Washington, D.C., you face Darkseid, who, thank God, has the same driver as in Twisted Metal 1. Not the stupid bitch Dollface from Twisted Metal Black. Although you can't play as him for some reason without, like, some special cheat code, but oh well. I think he was also supposed to be a boss in Twisted Metal 2, but was cut out. But he's back here, and he's an okay boss. He's kind of easy, but his special move is pretty effective. It's called the Freeze Flamethrower. Shoots like a fire attack, like Thumper. Well, Firestarter in this game, but like Thumper in the previous 2 games, and a regular ice attack, which, if he hits you with both, does a shitload of damage. But he's a pretty easy boss. Level 5, London, is Minion, who is still a demon from hell, not like the idiot from Twisted Metal Black. Nothing against Twisted Metal Black, but Minion was kind of stupid in that game. Here, he's also still in the same tank, although it's green now instead of black, which I don't think is as menacing, but at least he's still in the tank, not the stupid tanker truck from Twisted Metal Black. God, I'm really hating on Twisted Metal Black all of a sudden. That's not a bad game, but I didn't like Minion in that game. Here, his special move is the same thing as it was in Twisted Metal 2. It's like Warthog's Patriot missiles and the freeze attack, and it like never misses, and does a shitload of damage. He is playable through cheat code. It's kind of weird that you can play as him, a tank, and not Darkseid, a truck, but oh well. I think most people wanted to play as Minion. So that's Minion. The final boss was a new character made by 989 called Primeval, who is pretty hard. When you face him at first, he doesn't seem too bad, but then when you get close to him, he just fires his special at you and takes about half your health. This guy, even on easy, is pretty hard, just harder than Darktooth in Twisted Metal 2. But he is pretty cool. I wish there was a story for him, and to be honest, I wish he would return in a future Twisted Metal game. But anyway, that's the stages and the bosses. Overall, they're pretty good. Oh, and one more thing about the stages. I know this doesn't matter at all, but in the Hollywood stage, the first level, at least here, Hollywood looks destroyed. It looks like it's straight out of the movie Escape from Los Angeles. Whereas in Twisted Metal Head-On, the game some people consider the real Twisted Metal 3, Los Angeles looks